Can you imagine 8 years old sitting in the window on a Saturday morning? You're excited about the day because it's a Saturday, right? And that usually means it's time to color, play, and have a great time. So there I was observing just outside, looking in the window at all the passersby. I saw the friendly neighborhood police officer who I normally see all the time with my mom, and he was with a gentleman who I also recognized from the neighborhood. We were enjoying ourselves as we normally do on a Saturday, and out of nowhere, there was this loud crashing sound. And all I could remember hearing is, Kimberly, get down. Get down, Kimberly. Get down. Kimberly was frozen in place. She had never seen a white t-shirt turn red so quickly. Immediately, I started observing the hands and the face and all of the things on the outside. My superpower was ignited in that moment of pressure, that moment of silence, that moment of stillness. I recognized and I realized observation is my superpower. That's my skill. I might have ignited it in a place that caused what they would consider trauma, but it woke something up in me. And I'm grateful that it did. My life changed. I was standing on a pulpit, which you would think is a great thing. And over the podium, there's my brother's body. He made it to 35. And all I could think at that time was, wow, I saw this when I was 21, and I was dreading the day that this would happen. Having to face my entire family, friends, and everyone that he knows and stand poised and stand strong, I guess. Knowing that I've worked so hard in the community, I have done everything that I could do to try to change the trajectory of everyone's life. I normally teach emotional intelligence by example. I teach leadership by example. I'm going into all of these spaces and places where everyone who is someone knows my name. So how could I break in this moment? How could this be what shatters me? But that's where I was, shattered. And to put icing on the cake, I had to move several states out of the way in order to save my life and start a new life with my children. So now here I would be in a new space with new references, new referrals, just new everything, pushing past my pain. And I remember I used to serve in the world's greatest army, and one day we were on a hike. And while we were on this hike, I fell. I fell flat on the cap of my knee. And it stung so bad, I just stood there whimpering on the ground. My sergeant, he came up to me, he said, "Williams, do you want to cry or do you want to live?" That day, I stood up and I ran for my life. The lesson that I learned is either you're going to cry or you're going to live. am in this new space. The kicker is I'm homeless. I have a 14-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 4-month-old. So while I am trying to overcome all of these great big emotions that I have, now I have to kick into high gear because I have 3 people relying on me. They're resting on me, they're trusting in me because I'm mom, I'm counselor, I'm pastor, I'm all of these things. I'm also friend. And now we're in this new space in which I don't know anyone. Learning that the pandemic would be the best thing that happened to us is probably, I don't know, you probably would think it's outrageous to think that. But I needed to slow down because I had to navigate where we were, this new terrain. I had to see which organizations were around, what are the corporations here, what's the climate like in the inner city where all the people are, what is the homeless population like, how does advocacy work here. While all that's happening, I also have to lift up the head of my 14-year-old. And I'm nursing my 4-month-old. That's my baby. So I'm teaching her how to just be. My son is extremely rambunctious, and I love him just like that. And so I have to guard him, safeguard, right? Because you want to take care of the things that are important to you. So as a leader, I decided to put away my emotions, cry if I needed to, but most important, focus on the main thing. We got here in May, and I told my daughter, by July, we're going to have our own place. July 7th, not only did we move into our own space, our own apartment, beautiful, beautiful apartment, but because of my community outreach, there were so many people who poured into us and made sure that that apartment was home. What would I tell my 21-year-old self, or anyone that's 21 for that matter? I'd say heal first. Heal. Do the work before the marriage, before the kids, before the big move, before all the things. Heal. And you may be like me who doesn't necessarily wear their scars on the outside. You know, you might be one of those absorbing type of people. And if you absorb your emotions, there's internal bleeding. And because you're going to do great things, because you're going in a wonderful direction, because you are overcoming the world, it's important you don't bleed along the way. So heal first. And the second thing that I would tell a 21-year-old is keep the main thing your main thing. When you have a main focus, it's extremely easy to ward off all the distractions. You notice them quicker. You're able and willing to let things go. And I remember recognizing that I want to be an owner of my own firm. I want to be on the top floor of a restored building in the downtown district. And so that's what I was working toward. Every time I felt like what I was having was a setback, I would remember where it is that I'm going and why I need to get there. It's not so that I could be on the top floor. It's so that I can actualize the amount of wisdom, knowledge, and wherewithal that I have. Because you don't go through life for nothing. And it teaches you things that can add to your main thing. So when there's a bump in the road, accept it. add it, right? When there's a slowdown, accept it and add it because it's building altogether a more well rounded you. You're going to look amazing on that top floor in your firm, doing exactly what you do well. Keep the main thing the main thing. There's a problem in this post pandemic world where you have what we call the Gen Zs who want to work from home. It's where we're comfortable, it's where all our things are, it's where we do our best work. And then you have the boomers and the millennials who were used to that routine, that schedule, the stability of it, who are in the office. And now everybody is merging together. So we're coming off of the virtual world, coming back into the office, and mixed emotions are everywhere. All of these personalities, we have introvert, extrovert, ambivert, all of them. And what you find is what we call drama, office drama. What I normally do is help them to navigate throughout those emotions so that they can understand why they feel the way that they do. They can be aware of other people's emotions and experiences around them. And then they can have empathy in a way that they'll start using social etiquette and they'll grow the organization's culture. So as they are hiring on new people and transitioning people into different positions, they can do so seamlessly. Nobody starts a business or organization hoping it doesn't work. Am I right? I was working with an organization that had some great tenured staff and some what we call zealous rookies. And as they were ranking up and getting all of these accolades and testing in or testing up, as they call it, the senior staff would sometimes feel a little intimidated. They were dealing with self doubt as if now these younger staff was going to take over their positions. So when I come into the building, I come into this organization, I'm able then to focus on the problem. I zone in on it in a way so I can understand why people are working the way that they're working with one another, what it is that they are doubting within themselves. And we do experiential workshops in order to help. I have a framework. It's called fear because at the end of the day, that's what it is they're dealing with, fear. Forces encouraging authority and resilience. Why do companies hire my firm? Hmm. Well, it's simple. I enjoy, being very relatable. Personable is what they call it. So they, a lot of times, they're looking for someone they can trust. They're looking for someone who can work with a broad spectrum of personalities and people. They're looking for someone who can hold information with all confidence. Someone that not everyone can say that they've worked with, the exclusivity of expertise. Someone that can hold them accountable who isn't afraid. And I think that, having been in the military, having a Marine as a father and a very heavy military family, I work very well in spaces of people with high authority. So I'm not intimidated. I've heard a broad spectrum of issues in my day, and I'm able to pinpoint where the solution is. I'm able to see what weaknesses and opportunities are within each individual, And then when I see them come together, I'm able to see how and why they're working the way that they work. And so I'm able to find a solution. And I love the part where then I can strategize with the teams and help them to see the bridge between their personalities and the ways that they work and intertwine who they are and what they bring to the organization. It's a powerful thing to be observant. It, that's a masterclass all by itself. Observation is not only just looking, it's listening, it's hearing what's not being said, it's recognizing what I like to call micro expressions, it's noticing the nuances when people are even responding to your very innocent questions. I use all of these tools and I create modalities that are specific to the organizations that I work with. And if I could just tell you, there was an organization, I won't say their name, but as we were working together, I noticed there were some people with what I like to call hard personalities. And they would sometimes have outbursts in settings that weren't too tolerable of that sort of behavior. But it was their personality. It was who they are. It was how they've always been. And I know you know, when you've always been away, it takes some time to shift your mindset. So I use emotional intelligence and I help them develop that muscle so that then they are understanding why they tick the way they tick and how it affects the people around them. I also then assist them and support them in seeing what their strengths are. Because if you know how strong you are, then you'll be courageous enough to stand boldly and intermingle with people who may be different than you. Different isn't negative. And so that's why they hire our firm. We come with a wealth of knowledge, a tangible mindset to work with all sorts of people. I I think that what I've enjoyed the most about this experience has has to be the people. They make you extremely comfortable. They pull your best traits out of you. They allow you to be yourself. So I ran into this great person at the front door, and he made me feel comfortable immediately. Um, and just navigating uh, with being able to see them in person versus just emails that's coming through or telephone calls. It's something about seeing people in person, shaking Shay's hand or high fiving that just it relaxes you. It gets you in that zone where you can be yourself. You're not afraid of all of the things that it takes to do this in the room. And my top favorite is the music. The music is the best because, especially if it's something that you chose for yourself, it kind of just keeps you right there, right where you want to be, zoned in. So I've been really enjoyed everything about it. I've enjoyed from the beginning of the first phone call, the excitement in Shay's voice, his professionalism with getting everything handled, the way that he calls and just discusses what my issues or my storylines will be and what my issues are. Mine happens to be speaking in front of a camera. I'm good speaking, but the camera makes me nervous. And so it's been a great experience, and he's very great at helping you to be yourself.